Amara escaped the room. The cameras didn't show how, only the sound, something crawling inside the walls. Helena found her digging with her bare hands, covered in soil, whispering through tears, "He's coming back, because he never left." And then the white room answered. Amara Borges, a girl found after years of isolation in a sealed room. She doesn't speak, doesn't react like a child should. There's something unnatural about her silence, too old, too deep. Helena Morais, a forensic psychologist assigned to Amara's case. Rational, skeptical, and deeply empathetic. But as she digs deeper, she begins to question what is human, and what isn't. Marcos Vidal, a police investigator haunted by the case. His interest goes beyond the professional, it's personal. He has seen something like this before. And he never forgot. The smell was the first thing the officers noticed. Not of death, but of rot, mold, and iron. The Borges couple hadn't been seen in months. When the police entered, they found the house abandoned, except for a sealed door behind the kitchen. Inside, a girl. Pale, naked, thin, crouched in the corner. Her skin bruised, her eyes wide open. No words. No screams. Just silence. On the walls, scribbles, symbols, scratched words. Circles, eyes, and a recurring phrase. It never blinks. She didn't respond to any questions. Didn't recognize her name. No signs of developmental progress for a child her age. She didn't cry. Didn't laugh. Just looked. Helena took charge of the psychological evaluation. The girl, about 10 years old, behaved as if she had never been touched by human language. But there was something worse. She mimicked things. Perfectly. Gestures, expressions, breathing rhythms, even blinking. As if she wasn't learning, but remembering something that had never been taught. The room where she was found was painted entirely white. Walls, ceiling, floor. There was no furniture. Just a mattress on the floor, a bucket, and a broken mirror. Inside, investigators found something more disturbing than the girl, a trapdoor beneath the mattress. Sealed with metal and symbols carved with a blade. Inside, nothing. Or so it seemed. When a flashlight was shown into it, the light bent unnaturally. Cameras refused to record anything beyond the opening. And Amara, for the first time, looked directly at someone. She said one word. Don't. In audio recordings, there was a pattern in the background of Amara's room. Not speech. A sound. Continuous, low frequency, resembling a heartbeat, inverted. Sound engineers analyzed the audio. It wasn't mechanical. It was biological. The rhythm matched that of a resting human, except it had no source. At night, the sound got louder. And Amara, when asleep, whispered in her sleep. Not words. Not gibberish. Just something that made even the psychologist turn pale. Because when the recording was reversed, the sound formed a phrase. I'm still down here. Amara started to scratch her arm obsessively. Always in the same spot. When Helena examined it, she found something terrifying. Beneath the skin, faint scar tissue formed a geometric pattern. A circle. With a vertical line through it. The same symbol carved into the hidden trapdoor. Helena began to research similar cases. Only one appeared, a psychiatric patient from the 70s who drew the same pattern, claiming it was a door to before language. The patient disappeared during a thunderstorm. Her name, Borges. Helena tried standard memory recovery techniques. Images, sounds, colors. Amara remained still, until shown a picture of a door, slightly ajar. She screamed. But it wasn't a child's scream. It was deep, like something being torn from the throat of someone who had never been human. Later, during sleep, Amara spoke again. This time, the words were clear. He said I was the echo. That I must never be the voice. That night, Helena started dreaming of the white room. Except this time, the walls breathed. As part of stimulation therapy, Amara was given a handmade cloth doll. No face. No colors. Just a stitched figure with red thread. When she saw the doll, Amara froze. Her fingers curled as if trying to mimic a gesture, or resist one. 10 seconds later, she screamed. High-pitched. Deafening. All the lights flickered. One of the security camera lenses shattered. The doll was removed. The episode stopped. In slow-motion footage, Helena saw something impossible. During the scream, Amara's reflection in the mirror did not move. It stared straight into the camera. Amara began to show repetitive behaviors, snapping her fingers, tapping the wall 3 times, rubbing her arm until it bled. One night, she murmured something recognizably verbal. Helena recorded it. A linguist confirmed, the words were in Portuguese, but spoken backward. The translated phrase. I remember before. Helena played simple backward words the next day, water, mom, home. Amara cried for the first time. And answered with a sound that wasn't quite language, but felt like an echo. Hidden beneath the floor of the Borges house, investigators found handwritten journals by Edgar Borges. Obsessive notes on neurograms, cognitive reversal, and psychic cleansing. One page contained a detailed drawing of a child's brain, with parts crossed out. As if certain regions were deliberately turned off. But most disturbing, the title of one notebook. Project Return, Language 0. On the back cover, written in red ink. The child doesn't need to learn. She just needs to forget. During a final sweep of the Borges house, Helena discovered a window sealed with concrete in the basement wall. Behind it, a small, lighted cavity. A single working light bulb. An ancient bronze mirror aimed at the opposite wall. And carved into the wall with what looked like fingernails and rust, a sentence repeated again and again. She sees what she shouldn't. That's why the white. Helena walked out of the house breathless. For the first time, she wasn't sure this was about trauma. In a sleep monitoring session, Amara began to speak fluently, in a language no one recognized. Linguists confirmed, it wasn't known. But it followed strict phonetic and grammatical patterns. After days of analysis, the pattern emerged. Amara was speaking Portuguese backwards. Not just inverted words, inverted syntax, structure, intent. When played in reverse, the sentence was clear. He teaches through silence. From then on, Amara refused to speak during the day. But at night, her room filled with whispers. Not hers. Dozens of voices. Patterns on the room's walls began to appear without explanation. Circles drawn with fingernails. Dots connected like constellations. Helena had them analyzed. One linguist called it preverbal cognition. Another, more disturbed, said, this isn't a language made to communicate. It's made to awaken. Amara, when asked, pointed at one of the symbols and said, that one tells the room not to eat me. The symbol was a spiral within a square. That same week, the psychologist began seeing that symbol in her own dreams. For the first time, Amara drew a picture, a woman with her mouth sewn shut, holding a child. The background was dark. The floor was marked with circular stains. The woman had no eyes. On the back of the drawing, one word, still. A DNA test revealed a revelation. The woman found dead beside the Borges couple was not Amara's biological mother. So who was she? And more disturbing, where was the real one? Marcos recalled a closed case from years ago, a woman institutionalized for claiming her unborn daughter would come back with something that didn't belong to us. Her name, Isabel Borges. One morning, Amara refused to eat. Not with fear, but with repulsion. She pressed her lips shut and kept them that way for hours. Helena approached her gently and asked, "Why won't you eat?" Amara whispered. "He's under my tongue. He sees through me now." An emergency scan of her oral cavity showed no abnormalities, except for a strange phenomenon, metallic interference, as if there were a signal being blocked. And when the image was enhanced, a shape appeared, vague, circular. Almost like a lens. After Amara's final whisper, the facility was on edge. Psychologists and neuroscientists debated schizophrenia, memory implants, or even prenatal trauma. But Helena knew, it was older than any diagnosis. That night, Amara vanished from her room. No trace on cameras. Only audio, a deep, constant rumble, like something moving inside the walls. They found her outside, digging with her hands in the soil. Her arms buried up to the elbows. Unearthing something. They recovered metal fragments engraved with the same symbols from the room. And a ring-like object, with a single word inside, "Return." Amara looked at Helena and whispered. "He's coming back because he never left." A new clue surfaced, a handwritten letter from Amara's grandfather, dated 1982. He wrote of a ritual for preserving primal language. Of a child, born with reversed hearing, able to hear beyond time. He warned. The man in the room has no shape. But every child sees him first. He speaks without a mouth. Enters without a door. Once inside, he never leaves. That night, Helena dreamed of a room with no windows. A figure in the corner. Faceless. Whispering in reverse. The next morning, Amara stood in the corner of her room, murmuring. "He found you too." Marcos's research uncovered the full scope of Project Return. Language Zero was a failed experiment to awaken preconscious communication, a mode of thought buried deep in the brain. Children were placed in isolation. Deprived of language, stimulated with repetitive symbols and sounds. It worked. Too well. 7 children. 4 died. 2 vanished. 1 survived. Amara. The final report concluded. If Language Zero is completed, it doesn't translate. It brings. In the Borges basement, Marcos discovered a vertical crack in the wall, like a sealed door. Thermal scans revealed a chamber behind it. When opened, the smell hit them, mildew, rust, and urine. At the center, a circle of burned wood. A primitive altar. Scratch marks all over the bricks. They brought Amara. She didn't enter. She froze. This wasn't a room, she whispered. It was a mouth. That night, the facility's systems glitched. Audio scrambled. All recordings picked up reversed voices, like whispers traveling backward through time. Amara was seen standing in her room, chanting phrases no one taught her. One phrase stood out. He doesn't want her. He wants what she learned. Helena woke to scratches on her apartment door. She lived alone. In her bathroom mirror, a foggy shape appeared, a face with no mouth. The next morning, Amara was gone. In her place, the faceless doll. With its mouth sewn shut. Months later, the Borges house was sealed off. Yet neighbors reported lights flickering inside at night. Whispers. Lullabies. Helena disappeared. Her car was found near the ruins of the Solrum Institute. On the hood, a single note. The room wasn't to keep her in. It was to keep what came with her, out. Amara was never found. But elsewhere, in other towns, children began to draw spirals. To speak backward. To sleep with open eyes. And all of them repeated the same word. Scratched on desks, whispered into pillows, drawn in red.